NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin' with you, ladies and gentlemen? How are you feeling this afternoon? We're going to break down Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier and their instant chemistry, ladies and gentlemen. I know you heard the news. Julius Randle agrees to a $117 million contract extension with the New York Knicks to continue to build on the chemistry that they developed last season. A lot of guys come back to build on the chemistry that they developed last season, and you're bringing in two guys who they got some instant chemistry together, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to break this down. I got my man Andy in the building. Andy, what's poppin' with you, my brother? How are you feeling?
What up, Sim? What up to the whole NBK fam, to the chat? Happy to be back with the Coach's Corner to provide you guys with at least some of our expectations for the upcoming season.
Yeah. You know, just an idea of what Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier can bring to the team. And what they did with the Boston Celtics in a very short stint, small sample size last season. But from reports, the two have a good chemistry together. They like playing with one another. And we're hoping they can bring that to the New York Knicks. I want to read off something for you guys really quickly. And this is from Chris Forsberg, who's an NBC sports reporter for the Boston Celtics. And this is in response to the early chemistry of Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. And again, this is in a very small sample size, but it's worth noting and worth talking about. Now, at the point that these statistics were brought together, the two had a 30.8 net rating, which was second best in the NBA. They had a 120.2 offensive rating and a 3.19 assist to turnover ratio. Again, this is Chris Forsberg from NBC Sports. He's a reporter for the Boston Celtics. That, ladies and gentlemen, are very, very good statistics. And we're hoping that they can bring that same chemistry to the New York Knicks. Because when you look at what Leon Rose did during this offseason, he basically kept the band together. And then he brings in two guys that have already been working together and played a little bit together. And for the most part, seem to have good chemistry. And, you know, I'll tell you what, I believe that Leon Rose and the coaching staff knew this and maybe even spoke to both players to say, hey, how would you guys feel about playing with each other? Knew that they probably enjoyed playing with each other and decided, let's do it. Let's see if they can see what they can build if they have a longer time together, longer stint together, should I say. What do you think about that, Andy?
Yes, and listen, I imagine that like the GMs from the whole NBA, they got like that Twitter group, Facebook group, I don't know, and they just communicate inside there, just like the players have on the teams, on, you know, national teams, whatever. And I think, you know, it's for them, it's for one, it's their job to do so, the research, and not only on the, you know, numbers wise, like Daryl Morey, you know, does and did for the Rockets. I think they all also, you know, try to integrate that chemistry thing from off the court, personalities, you know, meshing, not meshing. So I think that's all, you know, in their job description to make all of the pieces fit.
Yeah. And I think that's a big key to being successful, is making those pieces fit. Kemba Walker, in an interview earlier, I think maybe in May, early to late May, middle to late May, said that him and Evan Fournier had an instant chemistry out there on the floor. I see someone in the chat, ask, what does that mean? I don't know if what they're talking about is, some of the stats that I threw on the board. But when you look at some of these stats, when you talk about their net rating, meaning, their net rating as a duo in the NBA at that point in time was second best in the NBA, right? So they had a high rating together. Okay, and that's based on, a variable number of stats. Of course, your offensive rating is, meaning when they're together, the team is scoring about 120.2 points per game. When you aggregate all of the statistics, the team is scoring that high. Now, obviously, that was the Boston Celtics and not the New York Knicks. Then their assist-to-turnover ratio means they're taking care of the basketball. When those two guys are on the floor running the point guard and shooting guard spot, there's not a lot of turnovers. All right? They're averaging, 3 assists to 1 turnover, 4 assists to 1 turnover or something like that. And that's exactly what we need. And what that indicates to me, as far as that assist-to-turnover ratio, is that these two guys are playing with a high basketball IQ. And I feel like, Andy, that's something that we missed last season. We were a hardworking team. We tried to play the right way, but I don't think we always had the high basketball IQ. You can see it in fast break scenarios, right? Because I like to use the fast break as an indicator of high basketball IQ. And some people will say, nah, you just run the floor and make a layup. But that's not entirely true. Because when you're on a fast break, guys got to run their lanes. They got to know where to cut and when to cut. And the person with the basketball needs to know how to attack a little bit, draw the defense, and kick it to the right person. And then sometimes on the secondary break, you might have your point guard penetrate, kick it out to the shooting guard, and then on that secondary break, they find the big man running down the center of the floor, or the ball swings to the opposite side of the floor for an open jump shot. Our fast breaks were terrible. Terrible. Last season, I seen some of the worst fast break basketball I've seen in my life. I was like, holy cow, what is going on here? And a lot of that is because we had hard workers, guys that can play some defense, but didn't really play with a high basketball IQ. And I think that's what Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker is going to bring to this team. High basketball IQ. And you're going to see it in some of the clips that I'm going to point out. Any comment to that before we get to some of these clips?
Yeah, I agree totally with the fast break thing. The main thing on the fast break is the tempo. They gotta run the lanes in exact certain, split second even matter in the NBA. If it's, even a 3-on-1, it really matters because the defender can make just might be looking as a crazy move, but, it's not going to be a regular defensive play that he makes that's going to break up the play.
Right.
So, to be safe, the point guard always has to be a couple of steps back so he can see both wings and pick one, to distribute the ball to. So that's really important. And like you said, our guys last year, they were running like hand to hand, basically on not spreading the court. So they made it hard for themselves. Then again, we only ran the fast break like a couple of times. So, maybe people didn't even notice that it was that bad.
Yeah. And somebody asked, Heartbreak Nova said that's not on the coach. Asking the question is, the ability to run a fast break on the coach. You can go over time and time again how to run lanes on a fast break, where you should be, where each player should go. But when you get on the basketball court and you've got to make a split-second decision, you don't have time to think about and go look in your notebook to see what the coach said. You've got to be able to do it by second nature. Some basketball players have it. Some do not. Some basketball players need time to learn how to where to be on the floor by second nature. You know what I mean? And the fast break to me is just a great, great, great indicator because you don't have time to think about it. When you're setting up in the half court, your point guard can give you instructions and tell you where to be and where to go. But when you're on a fast break, you don't have time for someone to tell you where to go. You've just got to be in the right spot. And basketball IQ lets you know what spot to be in, boom, in a split second. Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, they're going to be able to bring some of that to this team. This right here is an example of what I was talking about. All right, I'll show you one more time. You see Evan Fournier here with the basketball on one side of the floor, Kemba Walker on the opposite side of the floor, and then you have a couple of guys running the lanes. All right? And this is just good basketball IQ, guys, understanding and knowing what to do when you're running the basketball lanes. Evan Fournier continues to dribble up the court. Kemba Walker, boom, cuts to the open spot. Simple basketball stuff. Just cuts to the open spot, rises up, knocks down the three, right? That's just simple basketball right there. But that takes basketball IQ in order to be able to recognize, okay, here's the open spot. I'm going to go knock it down. Another fast break that I want to show you. All right, this time it's a little bit opposite. Kemba Walker's going to find Evan Fournier streaking up the side of the floor. This is something that I screamed about all last season. All last season, I was like, let's get the ball up the sideline, try to get an early shot. And you're going to see it right here. If I can get Kemba Walker, finds Evan Fournier up the sideline. Easy. Easy. Right? And this is what happens when you have guys that have good basketball IQ, can push the ball up the floor, help you get early buckets. And it's something that I'm hoping these two guys are going to be able to bring this to this team. Andy, thoughts?
Listen, Sim, I wholeheartedly believe that they can do it. Not only to mention, they played in different teams, different variety of games. Fournier, for Fournier, the Knicks are going to be the fourth club, if I'm correct. He was drafted by Denver, then went to the Magic for a couple of seasons, short stint with the Celtics, and now with the Knicks. On any of those teams, he was causing, problems. Not only, I'm not talking about locker room thing. I'm talking about, on court. He's really fundamentally sound. Looks like the basketball, is in his nature, right? So like you said, the IQ is there. He doesn't look like he does stupid basketball plays. Unless we're talking about, him taking shots that sometimes might be, looking bad, because that's only because he has, a streaky touch on his shot. And I'm telling this because even on the fast breaks, sometimes the guys are gonna have, that high adrenaline, that they get that steal, and they're gonna, for everything, they just want to go fast and score, right? We know that Thibs doesn't actually think that way, but I think if Thibs is going to notice that it puts up easy points on the board, he might try to, implement it and try to use it more. Not to mention, both of those guys, after a rebound, can do those couple of dribbles and then pass. Last year, we had Elfrid Payton as the starting point guard. I don't think, we saw him trying to initiate a fast break before he joined the Knicks. He was able to do it. But, on the Knicks, he wasn't pushing the ball up the court that fast. I think with this combo guards, we're going to have both of them. They're both going to be able to do it. Last season, we also have, Reggie Bullock paired with Elfrid. We know that Reggie Bullock can't, dribble the ball to save his life. So, I think there's more possibilities. And actually, I really think that because both of these guys are going to be new to the team, it's going to be easier to even try to do it.
Right.
Instead of, just staying in the system and stuff. We saw Derrick Rose do it perfectly with the second unit. But, we're guessing that both of these guys are going to be starting for the Knicks.
Right.
So I think, it's I just hope that Thibs is not going to be holding these guys back. as far as the fast break, situations.
Yeah, yeah, and I think they can get up the floor, and hopefully they're going to help the Knicks to play at a higher pace. And I want to talk about some of the half court things that they can do, and what I'm going to show you is just a glimpse of what they can do together. And what I like about these clips, and what you just saw with the fast break clip, is first you saw Evan Fournier find Kemba Walker on the break. Right, both of the guys knowing where to be on the floor and cut into the open spot. And then you're seeing Kemba Walker find Evan Fournier. What I'm going to show you here in the half court is the same. It's going to be that same concept where both guys are able to run the same play and find each other for the same exact shot. Okay, so what you're going to see here, you're going to see a handoff to Kemba. Kemba comes off the handoff, and he's going to kick it back to Evan Fournier. Handoff, finds Evan Fournier. Fournier again puts the ball on the floor and goes to the basket. I want to repeat here. When we talk about Reggie Bullock, and I know people are going to miss Reggie Bullock, and I love what Reggie Bullock was able to bring to this team last season. No doubt about it. He was a big part of what we did, especially defensively. But those are some things that we just saw, like, putting the ball on the floor off of a pump fake, put the ball on the floor and go to the cup, that Reggie Bullock doesn't bring to this team, or didn't bring to the team, and Evan Fournier can. With Reggie Bullock, if he pump fake, he was taking one dribble and then pulling up again, right, and shooting the mid-range shot. I think Evan Fournier bringing that to the team is going to help open up this offense even a little bit more, because you got another guy that can penetrate and get to the basket. Then, of course, Kemba Walker can do the same thing. Now, I want you to take a look. The play that you just seen with Kemba Walker getting the handoff and then kicking it out to Fournier, you see it the opposite way, right? And this adds so much to have two guards that can do the same thing, even though, neither guy is going to get you 10 assists a game, but to be able to play off each other this way and change and be interchangeable, it's just going to be magnificent for this team. You'll see it here. Evan Fournier gets the handoff. He kicks it back to Kemba. Kemba knocks down the three. Right? And you've seen the exact same play, but they switched roles. That's the versatility that I think and hope that they're going to be able to bring to this team. All right. And then, of course, one last thing I want to show you in the half court. And there's plenty of ways that these guys can play together in the half court. All right. But they can run screen and roll for each other. Now you see here, Evan Fournier, as soon as it plays for me, here we go. Evan Fournier, screen, slips it. And again, you see him put the ball on the floor, go to the cup, and it looks like he also got fouled on that play. These right here, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be parts of the offense that we didn't have last year, in my opinion, from your point guard and your shooting guard spots. Right? Most of the time, it was our shooting guard and our power forward who were playing together, handing the ball off together. When Reggie Bullock and Julius Randle had good chemistry together. But we do need our point guard and our shooting guard to have good chemistry together. And then hopefully Fournier and Julius Randle develop good chemistry together as well. Right? And there's a couple other plays that, I am going to do a breakdown on Evan Fournier, and I want to do a breakdown on Kemba Walker by themselves, because there were a couple plays that I looked at where I see exactly where RJ Barrett will fit in. Right? There's a play where Kemba Walker found Evan Fournier cutting off the screen, and because Evan Fournier attracted so much attention, Kemba Walker attracted attention, Jason Tatum popped wide open. That's the exact same way that I can foresee the Knicks using Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, and RJ Barrett. There's going to be a lot of things that I believe Tom Thibodeau can do with this lineup. Does Tom Thibodeau have it in his tool belt? That's the question.
Yeah, exactly, Sim. That's going to be a huge question mark as far as Tibbs goes. We know that he's an all-time coach. He doesn't like to implement so many new things. Then again, his capabilities with these two guys in the starting lineup, the variety of plays, the whole playbook can expand in so many ways that it would be funny that if he, maybe not even funny, that he wouldn't use the offense in at least a couple of other plays.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see because you're going to have a lot of guys who have some experience together already, right? So they, of course, going to use some of the plays that they used last season and, last season, but they'll be able to open it up a little bit more. They'll probably steal some things from Boston. It would only make sense to steal a few things from Boston and add it into the playbook. I don't know. We'll see how it looks. We'll see how it goes. Training camp starts when? When does training camp start?
Probably just after Summer League. For knowing the Knicks organization, Julius is going to call up the band just after Summer League. So
yeah. I would if I'm Julius. You know what I'm saying? He just got a huge contract, $117 million. I'd start stepping in as that leader and say, hey, let's get it together. Let's do what we can do. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
How do you foresee Julius Randle's been the primary, not the primary ball handler, but the primary facilitator? How do you see this working with Kemba Walker now in tow? Do Julius Randle's assist numbers go down? How do you see it working? How do you see it looking? Because, because of the way we played last season, it helped Julius Randle to become an all-star and all-NBA player. Do you think with Kemba Walker in tow, it changes that? It doesn't matter to me if it changes it, right? I just want the team to win. As long as we're winning, I don't care. How do you think, if it does change it, how do you think Julius Randle's going to take it?
Well, I'm sure that his assists numbers are going to dip. Then again, I'm easily accepting that if the rebounds go up, and I really think that the points also might get up because last year we didn't have a threat at the point guard like we have this year with Kemba. The shooting guard position, I think it's also tremendously upgraded as far as the offensive capabilities of Reggie compared to Evan, right? So I think Julius is going to have way more space in the post or in playing one-on-one. I also, I don't know if you remember, we were talking like half of the season or even more that Tibbs needs to mesh the minutes between sitting RJ and Julius. They can't sit on the bench together. Now with having Kemba and Evan Fournier, I think that's acceptable because you just got to mesh the minutes between like 4 or 5 players if you add Derrick Rose to that mix.
Right.
So it's going to be easier for him in that situation.
Right.
But I really think the addition of these two guys is really going to make Julius's life way more easier. That's why I think, the shooting, the field goal percentage, the effective field goal percentage might go up like in a huge way as far as I see it, because he's going to get way more easy opportunities to score. Then again, like I said, I'm accepting less assists from Julius. It's even better for the Knicks, I think. That the game, he's not going to be the only and the main facilitator of the Knicks. Just let Kemba do it, let Evan do it. Listen, Kemba was a 4-time All-Star. He was basically the franchise player for the Hornets, right? For the Hornets, Bobcats. I don't know if it was the Bobcats then or the Hornets. But listen, he was the main guy. He can carry a team. He did it. I don't say that he took him to the championship level, right? But I think with the addition of these guys, I think easily he can, run the offense. Fournier, he also has, experience. He was playing the second role on the Magic. So, he can easily just fill in a gap as a second man. Sometimes, maybe the second man, but the best scorer. I could really envision this, that Fournier could be above 20 points per game as a scorer, as a second option. I wouldn't, surpass that, saying that RJ is going to have to take even a backseat to Evan Fournier. But listen, I think he will fit so smoothly, because for him, basketball is really natural. Whatever team, whatever kind of schemes, I think he's willing to accept his role, and will fit really good on any kind of team.
Okay. Do you foresee Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker playing together anytime?
I was thinking about this yesterday on the Knicks, on Tony's show, Knicks Bruises. We were talking with Steph, and this came up in the situation of like a last possession. I was thinking, what's going to be the 5-man lineup for Tibbs if we need that one bucket, if we're down by 1 or by 2. And I was thinking that, we might see in that kind of situation, D Rose, Kemba, Julius, Fournier, and the fifth guy is basically, we'll have to see if it's going to be Mitch for the rebound or just RJ if we're going to have less time. And now imagine how many options you have. Last season it was like, listen, the ball's going to go to Julius, it's going to go to Julius.
Right.
RJ took a shot. The ball's going to go to Julius, someone else took a shot, and we didn't make it, right? If it went to Julius and Julius took it, we also, not always made it. Now the defense can't, only watch one guy or two. They got to watch, every man has got to play his man. So, this is also a thing that I'm going to watch Tibbs on. The out of bound, out of timeout plays, out of bound plays. It's going to be way easier to draw up a productive play for Tibbs with this kind of roster. So I'm going to see if those numbers also are going to get up.
Yeah. Now, I see in the chat, Anthony Dunbar, he's like, no, screaming and hollering that Kemba and Derrick Rose won't play together. I think, it all depends on what you need that night. If you need 2 guards on the floor that can attack, you might see them play together. I mean, Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickly played together all last season, or at least half the season played together, right? I'd be interested to see what that lineup looks like sometimes. Every once in a while, throw them out there together, see if you can, really attack, especially if you're playing against a small lineup or you're trying to force a team to go small, right? And you play 2 guards that can really, really attack. That can be, that's AAU style basketball. I'm not going to lie to you. That's AAU style ball. Having small guards out there that can attack. But sometimes it's very, very effective.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you attack those big guys and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, but for me, Sim, I think that's going to be really situational.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be majorly by design. Tibbs might throw him out there just I don't know, not by mistake, but just to see. But I don't see that's in the plans. Like, listen, I'm going to do it 10 minutes or like last couple of minutes of the second, quarter, just before we go to the locker room or stuff like that. I would rather rule it out. But I think, he's definitely going to try to do it.
Yeah. At some point, I think you'll see him on the floor together, just to test it out, see how it looked. I mean, at one point, he said he was going to play Emmanuel Quickly and Elfrid Payton together. I think we've seen it a couple of times here and there, never really materialized into anything. Now I see Ghetto Intellect says, I tell you this, Kemba and IQ cannot play together. Probably not, but I'm pretty sure Thibodeau is going to experiment with a bunch of different types of lineups out there. Just to see what happens. Andy, let me ask you this. Do you think the Knicks are done? I was having a conversation with Legion earlier, Legion and Knicks, and he said, he wouldn't mind seeing Kelly Oubre in the fold on a cheap deal. I don't see that Kelly Oubre now looking at the Knicks roster, but look at this roster and say, I see exactly where I fit. I don't think he'd look at this roster and say that because there would be too much of a glut at his position. And then I don't know where does he fit if he's on this roster. If he, if the Knicks signed him on a cheap.
Yeah, for one thing, if I'm correctly thinking how the Knicks are going to move on, on the 6th tomorrow on these signings, I'm guessing that Oubre could be offered the mid-level exception, right? That would be a couple of $1 million. It's not like going to be like 10 or something, but I think they are still going to be able to use that on a player. But to be true, I'm not sure that they want to mess up and move and have so many new pieces on the roster. We gotta have Grimes on a contract because he's a guaranteed contract. I'm even worried about McBride because we probably are gonna start him on a 2-way contract, and then after the amount of days, we're gonna try to sign him. The only odd man out is via trade Kevin Knox, probably, or the unguaranteed contract of Luka Vildoza. But I think at the beginning of the season, I don't think they're going to rule out Luka Vildoza. I know they probably watched him on the on the Olympic games, but as we know, Olympic games are not the same as the NBA games. So I think they invested in him money. I know that that's nothing for James Dolan, as if they would have to just cut the losses and just cut him right now. I think though they want to see him in the gym versus the guys that we have on the current roster and see if he's able to compete with those guys for minutes. So at this point, I don't think unless, for example, Oubre's agent calls in as like, listen, we just want a vet's minimum contract. Then I think Leon's eyes are like, let's make the move. But I don't think we're going to try to move out, unless it's really Knox, because I really don't see playing time for Kevin Knox on this roster at this point. It's going to be really hard for him.
Right.
Because, we basically have the bench from last season. And last season, Kevin Knox was on the roster, but he didn't get major minutes.
Right.
Major, even he sometimes he basically, was dressing before the game to shoot after the game. So, if this is going to be again this season, I'm thinking he might even request a trade. So,
but in some ways, I feel like it's a reason why you might keep Kevin Knox around instead of bringing in Kelly Oubre.
Exactly.
Not that Kevin Knox is better than Kelly Oubre, but Kelly Oubre is going to want and demand minutes. And now you're looking at saying, okay, how do I fit 11 guys into this rotation? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we saw that same with Rivers, right?
Right.
At the beginning, it was nice, dandy, and nobody's, slipped a word out and something like that. After a couple of days, couple of weeks of sitting on the bench, and you were thinking that you're a little bit better than this guy, but you're not having the opportunity, you're starting to, boil in. So
right.
That's why, Rivers didn't have a problem. I think it worked out for him pretty well going to the Nuggets. But, like you said, it's not only about the chemistry. He knows the organization. He's not going to be demanding minutes. So he's just going to be a safe guy to have around the court, around the team, in the locker room.
Exactly. And that's how I see it. A guy that's, he might know, or, he's going to probably try and want to get minutes and work as hard as he can. Yeah. I hope he's going to work as hard as he can. He probably won't get minutes, but he probably will also understand why he's not getting minutes. For someone like Kelly Oubre, he's looking to have his break. He's looking to make his break in the league. And I think right now, just based on the moves that Leon Rose has done, again, like I said earlier today, stability, right? He focused on stability. He brought back the band for the most part, besides Alfred and Reggie Bullock. But then the two guys that he did bring in played together in Boston and developed some instant chemistry in Boston. So you're bringing that chemistry, hopefully, to the New York Knicks. And then you're signing Julius Randle to an extension, which sends the message to everybody. We're stable. We're building. We're developing. We have some chemistry. And we're going to build on that chemistry. And at this point, bringing in Kelly Oubre, I just don't see where it fits unless you're sending out another wing. I don't see where it fits. A Miles Turner, obviously you'd be moving either Noel or Mitch if you're bringing in Miles Turner. I don't know what the rules are, but I'm assuming that you could probably sign Nerlens Noel and trade him, but at a certain point you won't be able to trade him until December or January, right? Mitchell Robinson, you can include him in a trade.
Yeah, and Sim, only like you just try to go a little bit deeper, unless, for example, a deal like that pops up, like an Indiana wants, for example, Mitch and Obi, and then you have that one roster spot, those minutes open, then you can slide an Oubre, in front of Knox. But It's still, you got to move out like two players for one, and then you have a roster spot open. I don't think, at this time, before the training camp, before the summer league, they're gonna shake it up. I don't know if you saw. I'm surprised because Kevin Knox wanted to be on the summer league, and now he's in the safety protocol.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a real thing, or he's like, or Leon is looking for a team for him, because these protocol, that's the easiest way. Like sometimes they did it for the Lakers, that, oh, listen, this guy is tired or whatever. They were doing those crazy things that they don't have to play, those fake injuries. In this era, it's just a safety protocol. You just put it out there and you're safe. So I think it might be something like that, or he just has a little bit bad luck and won't be able to showcase his talents between the kids.
Yeah. I guess he won't be playing. He won't be playing in the summer league, and just have to wait until training camp to see what Kevin Knox has been working on, or if he gets traded to another team or anything like that. I think at this point, the Knicks are going to hold for it. I think they're going to hold for it, see what they have with this team until the trading deadline, and then make some decisions then. I think that's probably the smartest thing to do. Let's put it like this. If you're going to make a move, do it sooner than later. If you're going to bring in a Miles Turner or whatever it is, do it sooner than later. Don't wait. If you're not going to make a move, just hold the fort, get into the regular season, and then see what you got from there. I do want to send a shout out to Kevin Middleton, my high school basketball nemesis. He said, we have a roster that can win every game they play. It feels good to say we can win tonight. He said, I still want a wide-bodied big, and an athletic wing. Maybe Oubre and Kyle Quinn, just in case Obi is not ready. I definitely agree about that wide-bodied big, because, I know Mitch has gotten bigger. I guess he's about 245 pounds now. We'll see how that relates to the basketball court. But we definitely have trouble dealing with some of those big, strong centers. And we do need a wide body that can bang around down there.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Sim. I think we still have Taj for that job. But, and I was just thinking on it like a couple of hours ago when I was at work. If by any chance Taj gets an injury, a longer break from the court, I think he is willing to, let's call it, get waived or cut. And then a guy like Kyle Quinn would be signed to the roster and would be perfect, because I don't see Thibs using, the Sims kid that we picked with the 58th pick. I realize that he's crazy athletic and stuff like that, but I don't think, playing with these, experienced vets on the low block and stuff like that, that he has any chances versus, starting centers, even, just for a couple of minutes. Tibbs is not one of those guys that's going to play rookies. I think, both of the Sims that we have are probably going to be in the G League for this season.
Yeah. And there's a correction. I want to send a correction out. Guys in the chat are correcting me, saying that Mitch is now 270, between 270 and 275. I said 245. Yeah. So between 270 and 275. That's we'll see if he can play with that weight.
And listen, hopefully not always, gaining weight is better, and for a fragile frame like he has, you never know how. Now he's got a little bit more pounds to throw on the ground when he trips. So
right now, hopefully he added muscle, not weight. Yeah. Right. I mean, you would think. Yeah, exactly. You would think he did added muscle, not weight. I always thought Mitch had a lot of room to grow, to fill out, because you've seen the size of his shoulders and how wide his shoulders are.
Yeah, he was broad.
Yeah. So I always felt like there was a lot for him to fill out into, and if he's 275 and he's able to handle that, I'm gonna say handle that muscle accordingly, he'll be all right, and that'll be a good size for him. I just hope it doesn't hinder any of his jumping ability, because we need that jumping ability. His ability to rise up. And it could make him jump a little higher and more aggressively as well.
Yeah, but I think, Mitch's most of his problem was about balance. He like someone said that he has tiny feet for that kind of, height. That might be something, but, I think balance for basketball is really important.
Yeah.
And, his, center of gravity wasn't that low. It was high. That's why he was, tripped around on the court so much times.
Yeah. And the thing about Mitch is, he basically came in straight out of high school. He took a year off, didn't play in college, didn't play any kind of pro ball or anything. He took a year off. We don't know what kind of training he had in that year. But when he came in, you could see he ran like a kid. All of his motions were like a teenager. So with Mitch, you do got to give him a little bit more time to grow into his body, to mature, physically, because he hasn't had, the last 3 years he's had NBA training, but you got some of these players who've had NBA style training since they were 14 years old. I don't think Mitch has had that. So, hopefully with the training, and he has the money now to be able to hire trainers to really get him where he needs to be, we'll see him excel. We'll see what happens with him. This has to be a good year for him, because next season he's going to be up for a contract, so he's got to really come in and show. And I think it's already shown in the playoffs. We missed Mitchell Robinson big time.
Indeed.
Yeah, we missed him big time. Also, we wanted to announce, somebody in there said, Sim, please announce about Theo Pinson. Theo Pinson is back on a 2-way contract.
Good for us, good for him.
Yeah, and I'm thinking and assuming that other 2-way guy may be Jericho Sims.
Yeah, right, I'm thinking so too. I'm just thinking how are we gonna get McBride on the roster. I know that we can have a minimal like vets minimum for a rookie, but it's still a minimum contract for him to fill in a roster spot. We also got to remember, Sim, that in training camp we can have 20 bodies out there, so we still have like 2 or 3 spots to fill out, and then just those guys got to be cut before the season starts.
Right. So on the roster that I have, unless I'm missing somebody, I have Miles already on this 15-man roster. Obviously, he hasn't signed a contract, but I have him on this 15-man roster already. All right, so looking at what the current roster is projected to be, you'd have Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson as the starters. On the bench, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickley, Alec Burks, Obi Toppin, and Nerlens Noel. And then your situational players are Luka Vildoza, Miles McBride. Those 2 guys will probably be interchangeable. Quentin Grimes, Kevin Knox, and Taj Gibson.
Yeah, so you're lacking two Amir Sims and Jericho Sims.
So then
we have 17 and Pinson 18, right? So you have only 2 spots, right?
Right. So Theo Pinson, Jericho Sims would make 16 and 17.
Yeah. And I think we got one more, Amir Sims.
Okay, Amir Sims.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah.
So that would be 18. But those 2 last bodies, it's probably like whoever they pick up. I think none of these guys that are going to be the number 19 and number 20 have a crack at this roster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt. They're basically going to be practice players, or if somebody gets hurt, maybe they can fill in or something like that. But nah, they don't have a crack. A chance in HELL at making this roster for the most part. But ladies and gentlemen, we broke down earlier in the stream, the chemistry between Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. You can see some of the video breakdowns between the two players. But I can't bring this slide back across the screen. Early with the Boston Celtics, before Kemba Walker went out and was inactive to prepare for the playoffs, Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker put up some good numbers together. Right? They had a 30.8 net rating that was second best in the NBA. This is at that time. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is a small sample size. They had a 120.2 offensive rating and a 3.19 assist to turnover ratio. And Kemba Walker described their connection as instant chemistry. We're hoping that they bring that chemistry to the New York Knicks. And we'll have other videos where we break down Kemba Walker and what he can bring to the Knicks, and we break down Evan Fournier and what he can bring to the Knicks. But if you rewind this video a little bit, you'll be able to go back and take a look at some of the video breakdowns, short video breakdowns, some of the ways that they're able to play together and play off of each other, and the basketball IQ that they can bring to this basketball squad that I think can really make this team a lot better. Where it lands them in the Eastern Conference, it's hard to say, but I think it can make them, guys, a lot better. I mean, make this team a lot better. So we'll see where it goes. Andy, any last things you want to say about Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier and the chemistry that they'll be able to bring to this team?
Well, we can. I can just get the numbers with the stats when they were playing together in only the 9 games they had the opportunity on the Celtics. So Kemba Walker was averaging 23 points, 5 assists, and 4.3 rebounds. Meanwhile, Evan Fournier was averaging 14.6, 3.4 assists, and 3.1 rebounds, which seems a little bit low for Fournier, right? But we got to remember that except Walker, they also had Brown, and they also have Tatum. So he was basically the 4th option. I think on the Knicks, he might be even the 2nd option. He might be before Kemba, and he might steal, RJ's 2nd spot as a scorer, at least as a scorer.
Okay.
So listen, those are huge numbers compared to what we had last season.
Right.
Alfred Payton's plus Reggie Bullock's stats are not even close to, those numbers that these guys will provide for the Knicks.
Right. And then you say Evan Fournier with Kemba Walker on the floor was shooting like 50% from the 3-point line.
Yeah, over 50% from 3 and with 5.8 attempts.
Wow.
So it's not like he was taking like 2 shots. Oh, I'm going to make one. I'm going to, not going to be shooting next time.
Yeah.
They were taking shots and they were making them. So
yeah. And remember that, he averaged 14 points a game, but one of those games he had 0 points.
Yeah.
Like his first game with the Celtics, he had 0 points, played really bad.
Yeah.
Had 0 points.
Yeah.
So.
And just to add some, I don't know if you saw the press conference after the game when the reporters say, what did you say to Evan Fournier after the game? And he was defending Fournier like they were buddies for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, listen, it's only one game, stuff like that. Next time is going to be better. So, and with the Knicks reporting, reporters and media coverage, they're gonna have opportunities to stand beside each other plenty of times.
Yeah, exactly. And the rumor that's out there is that they really did hit it off on the court at least, and they wanted to play with each other again. They're getting a chance to. Gonna get the chance to. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Excuse me for the technical difficulties earlier in the show. We're going to take all of that out so you won't even know it existed anymore, except for the fact that I just told you. But anyway, I'm up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Appreciate you.
Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.